All right, we are officially in our webinar session for our Ag Commission meeting for October 16th. I will go ahead and pass it over to Colleen.
Great. Thank you, Melissa. I think I'm still waiting for a quorum. Am I not?
Let's see, I'm counting here. I think we're one shy.
Okay, we'll just give a little time then. So Melissa, when you see we have a quorum, let me know, okay?
I will, yeah, I'm just waiting for one more board member to pop in.
Perfect.
We officially have a quorum.
Okay, great. I'm gonna give just like 30 more seconds just to see if we have more commission members pop on. Hello, Roberto.
Hi, Colleen. Hi, everyone.
Okay, well, I think I'm going to go ahead and get started. And as other commission members do come on board, we'll acknowledge the time that they come on so that we can respect everybody's time here. Good afternoon and welcome. This is a commission meeting for Colorado Department of Ag. It's Wednesday, it's Wednesday, October 16th. And this is an online meeting today. I'm going to do a quick roll call of the commission members' presence. Vice Chair Simon Martinez. Member David Block. Member Roberto Meza.
Here.
Member Elena Miller. Member Harrison Top. Member Nick Trainer.
Here.
Member Jeff McCullough.
Present.
Member Catherine Bedell.
Here.
Okay, and I just saw Elena pop on. So Elena, can you acknowledge that you are present as a commission member?
Yep, I'm here. Sorry to be a bit late.
No, that's all right. Thank you. Thank you for joining us. All right. So we do have a quorum for today. Before we go any further, I do want to let our interpreter, is it Diego or Alejandro today, give the procedure on how we're going to do today's meeting.
Hi, Colleen. I'll give the instructions.
Thank you, Diego.
Hey, everyone. Diego Pons here today with my colleague Alejandro Arrieta from the CLC. We'll keep providing interpretation. After I give the instructions in both languages, you'll see that globe icon will appear in the bottom right-hand corner of your computer screen. It'll say interpretation. Select that globe icon and please choose your preferred language. And if you're joining the meeting on your cell phone or tablet, please look for the more button or the three dots button to select your preferred language this other way. As always, if you're not fully bilingual, we strongly encourage you to select your preferred language so you can listen to the interpretation in case anyone were to speak in the opposite language channel. As always, just please pay attention to the speed in which you're speaking. As long as you're speaking at a conversational pace like this, you're going at a good speed for us, but just please make sure you don't speak at the same speed in which you read. So thank you so much for that. Buenas tardes a todos y a todas. Yo soy Diego Pons. Estoy aquí hoy con mi colega Alejandro Arrieta de parte del grupo CLC. Vamos a continuar hoy utilizando la interpretación simultánea aquí en Zoom en inglés y en español. Cuando termine de dar esas instrucciones, vamos a activar la interpretación. En ese momento va a aparecer el icono de globo de la Tierra que va a decir interpretación ahí abajo en la derecha de su pantalla. Por favor, asegúrese de elegir ese icono de globo de la Tierra cuando aparezca en su pantalla y por favor seleccione su idioma preferido. Y si hoy usted está asistiendo a la reunión en su celular o en su tableta, por favor busque la opción que dice More, M-O-R-E, lo cual quiere decir más en inglés, o tal vez una opción, un botón de 3 puntos, lo cual le va a permitir a usted elegir su idioma preferido de esa otra manera. Así que si usted no es completamente bilingüe, le vamos a aconsejar que elija su idioma preferido para que pueda utilizar la interpretación cuando alguien está hablando en el otro idioma. Si tiene alguna pregunta, déjenos saber por el chat. Muchas gracias.
Thank you, Diego. Okay, we're going to move forward. Hopefully everyone received the approval of received the meeting agenda for today. And I would like to entertain a motion to approve today's meeting agenda.
This is Catherine. I move that we approve the meeting agenda for 10/16/24.
Thank you, Catherine. Is there a second?
I second.
Thank you, Lena. It's been moved and seconded to approve today's meeting agenda. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving today's meeting agenda, please say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you. The second thing was the approval of the September meeting minutes. Were there any corrections or additions to the meeting minutes as you read them? Okay, hearing none, may I have a motion to approve those minutes?
This is Catherine. I move we approve the minutes from the September Ag Commission meeting.
Thank you, Catherine. It's been moved. Is there a second?
I second.
Thank you, Elena. It's been moved and seconded to approve September meeting minutes. Any further discussion before we vote? All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you. At this time, we do provide an opportunity for anyone online that would like to provide any public comment to the members of the commission or the staff. And so this time is that opportunity. So Melissa and I've lost you on my screen. So, oh, Madison, there you are. Okay. If there's anything that we recognize that if there's any public comment, please let me know.
This time, Colleen, I don't see anyone from the public who would like to speak.
Okay. Madison, are we good on your end? Okay, great. Give it just a little bit of time. Good afternoon, Simon. I'd like to acknowledge that Simon Martinez, Vice Chair, is joining us, and we are glad you're here.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. Little late, but I made it.
That's great. We're glad to see your face.
Thank you.
And Colleen, we still have no members of the public who would like to make comment.
Okay, then we will move forward. So I'd like to turn it over to Hollis Glenn, who has some introductions for us today.
Great. Thanks, Colleen. Hello, commission members. Great to see everybody, even if virtual. Want to do two introductions of two new members of our senior staff that we are really excited for them to be part of our team. I'm going to reverse order here a little bit. And I first want to introduce Amara Mora. She is our new executive assistant to Commissioner Greenberg. So we're excited to have Amara. She's come over with a wealth of state experience coming from Department of Human Services, but I'm going to hand it over to Amara just to say a few words, a little bit of background about who she is.
Hello, everybody. Nice to meet you. My name is Amara Mora, and I was previously with the Department of Human Services as the executive assistant to the Deputy Executive Director of Admin Solutions. It's a lot of words in that title. And previous to that, I worked for our local school district. I wore multiple hats at the school district, but the most recent one was executive assistant / office manager, where I worked very closely with our board of directors. So I am very excited to meet all of you and get to know you a little bit better. And I'm extremely excited to be with the Colorado Department of Agriculture. Melissa's been teaching me so much, and there has not been anything that she has showed me that I'm not excited about. I think every area we touch is just fascinating. So I'm very excited to be here and look forward to meeting you in person. And now let me figure out to mute myself. Okay, got it. Thank you.
Thanks, Amira. And as we did with Ari and Melissa before, Amira will be taking over, kind of supporting the Ag Commission, doing travel reimbursements, setting up the meeting. So you all will get to know Amira, and Amira will get to know all of you very soon. So welcome aboard, Amira. We're glad to have you. Okay, and the second member of our senior management team, we're honored and happy to announce that we have hired our new State Fair General Manager, Andrea Wiesenmeyer, who is with us today as well to meet the Ag Commission and say maybe a few words about yourself, Andrea.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Andrea Wiesenmeyer, and also very excited to be joining the CDA and the State Fair team. I've been in the management side of the fair business for about a decade, and I'm really excited to join this team and continue to grow the traditions and find new ways to create excitement about the State Fair. I grew up in small town Iowa in a very rural community with an ag background, and so to get to be part of the Department of Ag is a pretty exciting adventure as we go forward. So nice to meet you all, and looking forward to hopefully meeting you in person as we go through the year.
And Andrea will be currently in Idaho and moving down to Pueblo at the end of this month, and will be full-time in Pueblo starting at the beginning of November. So Andrea, welcome aboard. We're happy to have you as well. Okay.
Thank you, Hollis. And yes, welcome aboard, Andrea and Amira. And while I have this opportunity, I would like to sincerely thank Melissa for serving as interim, covering all the bases, holding the net underneath, and thank you for everything that you've done. So I'm going to turn it back over to Hollis to do operations update.
Absolutely. Thanks, Colleen. And I completely echo that. We are always indebted to Melissa and the support she provides in pinch hitting in numerous areas around the office. So thank you so much, Melissa. Okay, so Kate is, as you may notice, Kate's not here. She is enjoying some much earned time off right now, and she'll be back in the office on Friday. Do have one request from the Ag Commission members. We are looking for someone to assist in a review of the pesticide applicator applications to be on the pesticide applicator committee. These appointments are made by with John Scott, the pesticide program manager, and section chief. We're currently looking for 2 seats to fill in the next month. One is going to be from CDPHE, and the other one is a beekeeper representative. And we expect that the Ag Commission member who does graciously volunteer to help review applications will have to review no more than 5 applications total for both seat appointments. And we're estimating roughly about an hour, 2 hours worth of review time in the month of November and December. So we really appreciate, again, this is one that is approved by this is a commission approved by the Ag Commission. And so we really appreciate to have that Ag Commission perspective in reviewing and selecting and recommending the applicants for those seats. So I'm going to maybe put everyone in a little spot here and see if anyone would be interested right now in volunteering to help John Scott and the pesticide program select. And I see Elena has her hand up, but that might be a premature hand. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I did have one. Well, this is what I was hoping that maybe we could do differently because I did help on the hemp board, and I felt like maybe it would be helpful if the ag commissioners could also work with staff so that we understand a little bit better instead of just looking at a paper application. I feel like we were kind of just like basing it off of what people wrote instead of like a little bit more of a knowledge of like what that person is doing in the industry. So I am happy to help out, but that is my one request, is that if I do, that I would be able to have support from CDA staff who have a better knowledge of like who these people are and if they're a good fit or not. And I don't want to like have favorites, but I definitely think just basing it off the application, it was a little challenging because you're basing it off of just the words somebody wrote versus like the experience of working with someone.
Yep. Thank you, Elena. I appreciate that. And yes, we'll make sure that we give we provide kind of guidance criteria as of what the position does and kind of what ideal qualifications and experience we're looking for. But thank you so much for agreeing to help with that, Elena. We really appreciate it. Okay, really quick on updates. I'm going to talk a little bit about hiring, talk about some of our grant opportunities that are either opened or recently closed. And then I want to share a couple of events that are coming up in the near future, and then a little bit about our employee engagement survey. So quick, first begin with hiring. We closed our conservation services director position on Monday. So we're in the interview phase for that process. We're currently also interviewing for our 2 field specialists for the non-lethal conflict reduction program. These 2 positions, one's going to be located in the Central Mountains, the other one on the Western Slope. And really, these 2 positions are going to assist producers on how to use and understand and incorporate non-lethal deterrents against wolves. So this is part of that range riding effort that we're working on with CPW. We're also interviewing for 2 ag workforce service specialist positions. One will also be located on the Western Slope and the other on the Eastern Plains or the Front Range. And they're going to be focusing on really supporting ag workers as well as employers and understanding some of the issues, some of the efforts and opportunities relating to ag labor, ag employment, such as health, safety, workers' rights, labor shortages, labor access, et cetera. So all of those. So one is going to be a specialist in ag workforce surrounding crop production, while the other one is also going to be focusing on workforce issues and support in livestock and meat processing. We have also hired recently our 2nd ag emergency coordinator. Under this person will report to our main ag emergency specialist, Dan Frazian, and they'll be located in Southeast Colorado. So right now we're already seeing that a lot of these key positions are not going to be located in the Front Range area, but dispersed all around Colorado, which is really great to have that geographic diversity and representation. And we've also hired our new federal land policy specialist, and we'll be starting in early November. And we also recently hired our new urban ag specialist that's focusing on and working with USDA and other partners on how do we begin to build and advanced urban agriculture. So that's a little bit about our hiring process. Some of the grant opportunities that we've recently announced or have moved forward on and achieved certain milestones. First one is last week we launched a brand new grant with the new Division of Animal Welfare. This is the Equine Welfare Assistance Grant. We have $200,000 for this fiscal year, and then again another $200,000 for each next 2 fiscal years. And really the purpose of this funding is to promote either education and training about equine welfare, providing veterinary services or emergency care, or providing shelter support. So we announced this grant last week, and so that it's open until November 6th. We'll be doing the review of the grant applications then around the holidays and hope to be issuing the dollars out the door at the beginning of next year. So this is the first grant that we have in this program to support domestic equines. In addition, we've launched our new Ag Workforce Development Grant Program. This is one we've done for a number of years. So this is this year's launch. It's going to close November 1st. So this is a grant program in which we are offering up to $5,000 for an annual 1 year to provide businesses bringing on interns, and we'll be soliciting and accepting applications for interns later next month. But our goal with this program for this year is to issue 45 grants to bring in 45 internships by the end of this fiscal year. And we were able to do this because we received some increased funding for this program last year. When we combine this with our Next Gen Ag Leadership Program, which supports educational and training opportunities for Next Gen leaders, our goal is really to support 180 leaders this fiscal year in developing of their ag career. But with the Ag Force Development Program to date, we've issued 169 internships over 150 businesses over the course of the last few years. So we're really excited to continue moving on that program and seeing 45 new internships for this year. The Community Food Access Grant has been wildly successful. We've issued funding to 106 out of our 117 awardees. As a reminder, this is a grant that we got from federal funding to provide equipment and other resources to food retailers and small farms to help drive healthy food, the sale of healthy food in low-income, low-access areas. So I've been doing really well at getting those dollars out the door. A lot of great success stories that I'll be looking to feature and focus here in the coming months. We did hold a press event last month relating to the Food Access Program, and this was held at the Ghana International Market in Aurora, and it was attended by Governor Hollis, in which, you know, this was the owner of that international market was a grant recipient, and he purchased new refrigeration equipment. And we held the event at their store, really to focus on launching the next phase of our food access program, which is now outside beyond the grant, issuing tax credits. We have $10 million for this year, and we'll continue going forward till 2030 for tax credits for people who purchase certain equipment that helps drive healthy food into these communities. So we're excited for the launch of that tax program. We have finalized our grant awards for our agrivoltaics projects for this year. As you remember, a couple of meetings ago, you approved the funding or the awarding for 6 projects. So we've gotten those under contract. So that's great. So that's $500,000 for agrivoltaics, largely going to research institutions, solar companies, and farms. Again, six awardees we're splitting that $500,000. We did receive over $3 million worth of application requests. A couple other final things here. A couple of weeks ago, Robert Sakata hosted a Colorado Water Conservation Board and CDA day at his farm. This really allowed our 2 agencies to come together and discuss our water plan, as well as agricultural goals and how we're going to accomplish them, what work they're going to do and what work we're going to do, and how do we collaborate, in particularly in advancing of the Colorado water plan. This is one of our big, wildly important goals, is to focus on water as we look to take action on at least 4 agency initiatives that is within that plan over the next year and 12 over the next 3 years. So it was a great meeting and really a good kickoff meeting for us to begin to chart a path moving forward with our partners there. Some upcoming events. November 1st, we're going to be holding our Colorado Uncorked event at History Colorado. This is always a wonderful event showcasing our 14 selected wines for the Governor's Cup. It's a great event, really is a premier event showcasing Colorado's wine industry, and that's Friday night, November 1st. So if you're in town, you're interested in tickets, we can send you the link, but it really truly is a great event, and there are some really amazing wines that we are producing here in Colorado, and it's just really great to showcase those. Tomorrow, although short notice, I do want to highlight that tomorrow our produce safety rule program is hosting a ag water field day down in Rocky Ford to educate producers on the new FDA ag water rule, which is part of the Food Safety Modernization Act. This is a long-awaited rule on ag water use in produce production that is now being phased in. And so we'll be holding an educational training event from 10 to 3 at the Arkansas Valley Research Center for producers down in that area to get more familiar with this federal rule. And then finally, two other quick notes. Our senior retreat is going to be held next week. Once a year, the senior management team, which is all the division directors, Kate, Jordan, myself, the heads of all of our major work units in the commissioner's office, get together for a couple days off-site and hold a retreat. And this year, next week, we'll be holding it in Salida. And our team will be focusing on really the importance of onboarding staff and employee safety, and especially focusing on safety for our field staff that are out in the field. And then back with onboarding, how do we onboard and look at our agency's culture and see how those two intersect? Because if we get really good onboarding, studies have really shown that it really helps with employee intention as well as employee engagement. And finally, I'm going to share my screen a little bit and share go over a little bit. Can you see my screen, everyone? Melissa, you good? So every 2 years, the state, statewide, does an employee engagement survey. And it's a really helpful survey to see how well are we doing for our staff in supporting our staff. And we take this engagement survey very seriously because it gives us a great litmus test on how we're doing, but also shows us areas that we can improve on and how can we focus on and pinpoint to better support our staff. So I just want to share really briefly some highlights of this survey. It's essentially taken into 4 quadrants or 4 areas. It looks at our culture and engagement. So how do we organize our culture in motivating employees? Looks at our strategic alignment. And then also kind of from a manager's perspective is how well do our managers do in motivating and relating to our staff, as well as execution and from our managers in defining our expectations, holding accountability, and delivering results. So I put this slide together here. You can see a comparison. So we have essentially, we look at the state of Colorado, all agencies combined, and then compared to our score, CDA. And we're proud to say that we are higher than the state average. And what the numbers you're looking for, these are not percentages, but more percentiles compared to other public or government agencies within the database from the vendor that produced this survey. So essentially what this looks like, if we look at CDA, overall, we scored a 73% percentile, which means we are higher or did better than 72% of all government or public sector agencies that have taken this survey. Compared to Colorado, the state of Colorado as a whole, which is at 64. So we're very proud that we've done a lot higher than the average state of Colorado and essentially are in that 73% quartile. You can see kind of a lot of green here, doing really well with our strategic alignment, our culture engagement. We have a little room to improve on, but motivating employees at 77 percentile, 76 percentile overall for managing executions. So there are still some areas that we want to improve on, particularly how can we make our employees feel more safe, providing more safety training, more engagement, more staff recognition. So again, this survey is really a great tool for us to see and check in with our staff and address some of the concerns or areas that they see for us need to improve. And with that, Colleen, that's the end of my updates, but happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Hollis. Any questions for Hollis? I have a couple for you. Do you need more than one commission member for the pesticide application? Just one? All right, great. then we've got Elena volunteered for that. I appreciate that, Elena. And are we, or has it been announced publicly, the awardees of the agrivoltaics?
Yes, it has. And we can share, we did a press release a couple weeks ago.
Okay,
So it is, they are public.
great, thank you. Any questions for Hollis?
Hollis,
right.
I don't know if you mentioned it in there, but I saw something come across the wires about the ag workforce with a livestock concentration position. Could you speak to kind of what the goal of that position is and where you're at on filling that?
Yep, I did. I mentioned it. So two ag workforce services position specialists. So we're hiring two. One is going to be on the western slope, and they're focusing on crop production, and then the other one is focusing on livestock industry, and they're really focusing on labor issues and connecting with ag workers in the livestock industry, as well as ones that are in the Eastern Plains and Front Range. So they're going to be supporting ag workers in kind of health and safety issues, understanding kind of some of the worker rights issues, resource issues for ag workers, education resource, but then also assisting the ag employer in understanding kind of the new overtime laws, understanding and assisting and figuring out if there's labor shortages, and really connecting with locals in those various areas, both either a livestock area, crop production, or regionally, on anything and everything that's related to labor and supporting our workforce.
Thank you. Sorry I missed it when you
Oh, that's
mentioned
okay.
it.
And it's announced. I think we're still keeping the livestock one open for a few more days, and then we'll be in the interview phase. So they should be hired. My guess is sometime around early December.
Cool. Thank you.
Any others for Hollis? Great, thank you. We'll move on and we'll do legislative policy and budget updates from Jordan.
Thanks, Colleen. Good afternoon, everybody. It's great to see you. Number of updates this month since I wasn't able to join you last month. At the Water Resources and Agricultural Review Committee on September 18th, that committee voted to move forward a number of bills to be introduced in the regular session. Each bill that gets moved through that committee had to have a 2/3 vote. So by default, it had to be a kind of a bipartisan effort to get a bill through that committee. There's a few bills that I'll touch on that I just want you all to be aware of. The first bill is a bill that would remove gendered language from Title 35, the agricultural statutes. This was largely spurred on by both the commissioner and the state veterinarian being referred to as male pronouns throughout the statute. Obviously, we have a female agricultural commissioner and a female state veterinarian, so this would just refer to them by their proper titles and make some other technical corrections to the statute there. The second bill is a bill that's titled Wildlife Damage Protection of Personal Information. This would put into statute CPW's current policy of keeping applications for depredation payments confidential. The next bill is a bill titled Agricultural Building Exempt from Energy Use Requirements. A number of years ago, 3-4 years ago now, there was a bill that was passed that required energy benchmarking for certain buildings of a certain size throughout the state. Ever since that passed, there's been some confusion about the application of that requirement for agricultural buildings. We worked with the Energy Office and the bill sponsors on this bill to essentially clarify that a building is exempt if it's used for agricultural purposes. It doesn't have to be used solely for agricultural purposes 100% of the time. So again, hopefully providing a little bit of clarification there. The next bill is titled Ranch Property Tax Clarifications. This essentially modifies the definition of ranch in the taxation statutes to be redefined as a ranch, meaning a parcel of land that is used for grazing or raising of livestock for the primary purposes of obtaining monetary profit. So it adds the grazing or raising. So again, it kind of broadens the definition of a ranch. And then also there was in the current definition, there's also a mention of livestock and a definition of livestock in there, which is removed from this proposed bill, again, with the intention of broadening it, broadening the species that might be covered by that ranch definition. The last bill that came out of that committee that I wanted to mention to all of you was a bill that would create a task force to look at the future of severance taxes and water funding in the state. So as we anticipate severance taxes are going to be going down in the future with less oil and gas development, looking at what that does to water funding in our state and potential alternative sources for that funding. There's also two bills that were being considered that didn't move forward that we were working on that I wanted to mention. One was a bill to modify the revegetation requirements when water is permanently removed from irrigated agricultural lands. That didn't move forward. There was a lot more discussion that needed to happen on that. That bill may come back during session. So we're still having conversations on that. And then another bill that we were tracking closely was Senator Roberts' bill for transparency in water rights transactions, which he also pulled from consideration, but may want to bring back during session. So we're going to continue conversations with them on those. So that's it for the interim committee. This Monday, we also, Hollis and Mark Gallegos were at the Legislative Audit Committee to respond to questions from the committee on a Weights and Measures Audit Committee report that was presented to that committee on Monday. There was a number of recommendations in there that we agreed to implement on our end. A lot of them are related to kind of implementing standard operating procedures that Mark and his team were already in the process of implementing. And then yesterday, the Department of Regulatory's office that does sunset reviews released all of their sunset reviews for this year, which included a sunset review of the Farm Products and Commodity Handlers program in ICS. So that program, again, for those that aren't familiar with the sunset process, regulatory programs in the state have a sunset date or a repeal date in which an agency within DORA has to review that program and then make a recommendation to the legislature on whether to continue the program or not continue the program. And if they are going to continue the program, they have some criteria to look at on whether or not there should be changes made to that program. So the agency within DORA did recommend continuing the program with some kind of minor modifications that we'll be looking at, and that will again have to be a regular bill that goes through session to reauthorize that program. Next up is just a heads up for everybody. On November 1st, the governor's proposed budget will be transmitted to the legislature and released publicly. For those of you that have been paying attention to the state budget, there's, as of last projections about a month ago, the state's anticipating about a $1 billion shortfall. In talking with some of the folks, economists at the governor's office, the easiest way to explain this is that essentially inflation is down. And so that means that the government will have less money to spend. So our overall general fund and ability to spend money is greatly tied to inflation rates. And so as inflation is going down, which is a good thing, that also means that state government spending can't grow as much. So some of the anticipated growth in state spending that was anticipated 6 months or a year ago, is going to have to be cut back and reduced. So it is going to be a tight budget year, and so we're kind of prepared for that. The last thing I wanted to mention is, we're less than a month away from general election. There's a number of ballot initiatives, a number of candidates on the ticket. All of you commission members, in your personal capacity are free to participate in the political process. I just want to remind you, though, of the importance of drawing a distinction between your role on the commission and then your personal activities. So if you are engaging in political activities, just make sure that you're being clear that you're doing so in your personal capacity. And if you have any questions about how to do that, or what may or may not be appropriate, please reach out to me kind of directly, and I can have a conversation with you if you need any guidance on that. So that's all the updates that I had. Happy to answer any questions folks have.
Any questions for Jordan? All right, great. Before I forget, I do want to acknowledge that David Block, commission member, did join us back at about 12:45. So just for minutes acknowledgement there. Thank you again, Jordan, and thank you for discussing the how we need to distinguish ourselves when it's election time. Great. We're going to move on and do regional assistant commissioners updates. And Nick, would you like to start us, please?
Sure. Hi, commissioners. So I'm just gonna kind of go through a list of some of the stuff that I've been working on since the last commissioners meeting. I did participate and helped host and attend Meet the Candidates for our local November elections here where I live. It was through the local Farm Bureau, Rocky Mountain Farmers Union, Stockman's, our Pueblo Beekeeper Association, and then both of our FFA chapters here in Pueblo participated. We had over 75 persons in attendance, and it was great for networking opportunities between producers and local government officials. So I would call it a success. I've continued to work with the Southern Colorado Regional Summit Committee, planning the convening for the Pueblo Food Project, to which I hope Riley is on this call. And if he's not, I need to get with him to continue brainstorming on how to pull in a bunch of the key players and producers out of Otero and Crowley counties for some more intimate conversations and data collection to meet the needs that we're trying to focus on for what we really do need here down in the southeast corner, which is why these are being convened regionally this year instead of a statewide one. I attended a drive-in movie night for producers and their families that have been working hard all summer by one of the local farm chapters. It was really successful as well as with their county convention. It was full of local food. They were teaching a bunch of new first-generation farmers that have been popping up here in the county about Robert's Law and conducting meetings and reviewing policy and its function to stakeholders in our industry and the role of living at both the state, local and federal level. I attended the last community screening of our local Pueblo Chile Marisol movie, which paved a way for more responsive approach to people attending our farmers markets here in Pueblo. And it began a huge conversation piece for 2025, along with brainstorming on how we can collaborate more with our city for summer events to really boost these local urban farmers. I was recently added to the Ag in the Classroom Advisory Board for Colorado. We haven't had a meeting yet, but we have one coming up. So I'm excited to also be participating in that. They do a lot of really great things. I was nominated to serve on the new PFP, which is Pueblo Food Project Board, which I declined to do so just because I have so many hats on, but I said that I'd sit in it as an advisory position as they just start to develop a policy stance for the organization and continue to work on their bylaws as they are no longer fiscally held by the city of Pueblo and they're their own entity now, but they're a staple here in our community. I attended the Urban Ag Committee held by the CDA and had some conversation afterwards with folks that participated. My takeaway was was pretty strong from those conversations that were being had on that call. And I know that we always talk about how there is a disconnect between rural and urban, not just like living, but agriculture. And it was obvious to me during these conversations that there are so many people that really don't understand how local, state, and federal agencies operate, or how they receive their funding, or how law works to make any of it function. And that we need, I don't know if transparency is the word for it, but we need coverage and general education to the public on like societal functions, on like how everything operates. So when people are coming to the floor to try and have their needs met or talk about things that they're passionate about, they understand more of the processes on how to get there. And I think that's lacking, at least in my community and what I saw on that regional call for urban agriculture that was hosted by us at the state level. I attended my first water convening for the Upper Arkansas watershed in like a really long time. So I was really happy to be there. It was extremely informative, and I had the opportunity to meet with some of our other coworkers at the Colorado Department of Ag, which was cool. And it sparked a bunch of networking with other shed districts, and I got to exchange some helpful information and put people in connection with each other. I've been working closely with our local technical assistant for the tax refund credits that we have coming out of the state right now, and sending folks her way, by also trying to link together the Soil San Cristo no interest loan program with purchases being made for local food access in their businesses, and trying to get them to support then to being able to also help file for that tax credit. Our local agronomists too, I know, has been doing a really good job of this, and we've been brainstorming more people in our area that either did apply already for the second round of funding, or have made purchases, or have been on the teeter to do so, and are letting them know about the opportunity. I put into motion a meeting on a fresh food prescription program that another friend and agronomist from the San Luis Valley reached out to me about. We had a lengthy meeting and a ton of brainstorming and questions asked on how to make the program like this expand into our state, via either legislative support and or picking apart the pros and cons of the two similar pilot programs here in the state already, to make what sounds like the technical assistance side of it all function better. The program is an alternative to pharmaceuticals and helps heal or manage illnesses like, say, diabetes, by linking insurance carriers like Medicaid or others into a funding bank where vouchers were given for fresh local vegetables and meats, along with dietitian advice, cooking programs, and other workshops that are incorporated into living a healthier lifestyle, and helping them with medical issues in a year-long program. It's basically something that would help ditch meds to receive money for learning to care for yourself better. Oklahoma kind of launched the program, and it's been super successful, and they're branching the program out further. And we just had interest here in our state on trying to mimic that. I met with many of the drought plan program participants that just ended, to which many are involved in the state Star Plus program as well, or our Colorado land conservation program. I had two takeaways from that, and I was really excited to hear a generational farmer state that he has really started to consider what is important on farm. Like, it's always been the yield, of course, but there are difficult areas sometimes in fields, and he recognizes that the struggle to irrigate there may be the land trying to tell him something, and to think outside of the box, especially when it comes to water, and how these areas can go into smaller native conservation easements since they're not as productive anyway. The second part of the piece of the program for me allowed for more data collection that I can use from both drought programs and trials I participated in the last 2 years. And so I'm personally hoping to get involved in being able to tie in a grant and equip funding together to more efficiently use our water here on my personal farm. Because the concrete ditch that was lined in 1950 and the degradation is affecting not only my water usage, but my neighbors as well. Yesterday, I met with Southeast Low Pro cohort crew that has been working with the Nourish staff on farm to institution. The call was mainly made up of producers, and the next step in Nourish's contract bidding planned for release is in February for participating school districts and elderly meal programs for procurement from producers to start in July of 2025. So we're trying to let people know about that. I'd personally like to lock down some of those pork bids. We will see what comes of the workings in February. They were meeting in person again in November on the 16th. I'll still be in Washington, D.C., but it's for their fourth session of 5 in this year. And if anyone is interested in being involved and connecting or participating, I can send you a link to attend. They have tours with blue ribbon processing plants and a bunch of farms in the southeast corner. And last but not least, I guess, I've been working on the Colorado Women in Agriculture Conference that we'll be hosting this Friday here in Pueblo since March. Our planning committee has been getting together for a long time. We're really excited for it to take place. Ticket sales actually end today. So if any of our gal pals, wives, or women on this call would like to attend, we'd love to see you down here. The women of Pueblo have definitely poured a lot into this for over 6 months, including tears and frustration. I would like to state that I look forward to expressing my churn up with CSU and Weld County program directors. And other than that, on a personal note, I grew a ton of popcorn this year. It is a Cochete Pueblo strain from New Mexico, crossed with others for high yield, known as the Cassiopeia. It's beautiful. It's optimal. It's at its optimal moisture like holding rate right now. And I'm really excited about it because I'm a Midwest girl, and our state snack in Illinois is popcorn. And so I'm super excited about it and to be able to like honor that, as well as some of the regional traditional maize that was grown here. That's all I have for you today.
That's great, Nick. All the things are great. Any questions or comments for Nick? Thank you so much for all the areas and all the meetings and everything that you're covering and reporting back. Excellent job. Joe.
Hey, good afternoon, everybody. I think Nick needs to add some sort of time management class so she can teach us all how to do all that stuff. But that's pretty impressive. Here in the San Luis Valley, it's been pretty sunny and dry for the last week or so. Potatoes are pretty much all in, and I'm sure Jeff will fill you in on that. Cattle are pretty much all in out of the and looking good. Had enough rain this summer. There's a lot of forage. I'm actually grazing some dried up circles with my cattle right now. They came right off the range, walked across the highway into some abandoned crop ground on North Star, and I was able to use that. And the cattle are doing wonderful there, grazing that old alfalfa stubble and the weeds down, and kind of helping keep that under control. So I'm excited about that. We're also still active with our San Luis Valley revegetation group, and have a meeting tomorrow, actually morning, and get caught up on what's going on with them. Last week I visited with Susan Enfield, the climate smart specialist at CDA, and we had a great conversation about marketing some of the things that she's doing there. And also with Michelle, there's the Ag Leadership Program. I was able to connect with my wife, Julie, who's building a national program for apprentices, and then fellowship for advanced apprentices. Yeah, for people who've been out for 2 or 3 or 4 years and then need some advanced training. So they're building that program. And I think that's about it for me right now. It's nice to see everybody, and if there are questions, I'll take them.
Great. Thank you, George. It's good to see you also. Any questions or comments for George? Okay, we'll move on and we'll do Joe.
Okay, I found my non-mute. It's kind of been a weird people have been contacting me. Wolves keep popping up just when I think I'm done with them. Wolf projects keep popping up. And so I've been contacted by the Western Watershed Project, asking about a proposal that they're wanting to make on the livestock forage disaster program. So I've been because of that, I've been also contacted with the BLM to see what the legalities of that are, so that I can explain to them where they stand on that, and that ranchers are not looking and lining up to let go of their BLM losses. I have been contacted by the Foundation for Agriculture. There will be holding on coincidentally, they will be holding their Teacher Summer Institute here in Northwest Colorado at the same time that the schedule in July for the in-person Ag Commission meeting is going to be you're determining location. And I would like to say, to think about it, that maybe it would be beneficial to have it up here in Northwest Colorado. I've been working with the BLM, and we're talking about going out to his outcome-based, with the class, going to the outcome-based grazing. It's the only one in the state research project, which is out of bags, just up by bags on the unwrapped toplesses, and might be beneficial for the people to meet the Ag Commission, the teachers, and just something to think about. I also have been attended the Working Circle workshop, and another workshop which was presented by the Sierra Club on range riding. The main speaker for those clubs were the International Wildlife Coexistence Network. And a couple of the ranchers that attended that showed some interest in what was going on that. I haven't had a chance to talk with Dustin about that. Our grants for the Western Slope is going forward with the food summit, that feeds into the food summit 2 years down. The different workshops, we've got 3 of them lined up. I am working personally with the one here in Northwest Colorado, and we're looking at potentially leading on a topic that gets ranchers involved and understanding farm to school, how impacts on and advantages of being able to sell with SNAP and that kind of thing, and how to build the infrastructure to get and supply our food banks up here, and getting farmers and ranchers able to go into that. So I think basically that I've done that, and as far as up here on our ranch and with the cattle, all of the cattle are basically down from the high country in the area. They're starting to take the different sheep home to their winter grounds, which is closer to the homesteads and coming off of the allotments. Cattle are going into the trucks are pouring out to the different sale barns, and we're selling direct for a second time. They wondered if we were going to be able to sell them any of our heifers, because the people we sold it to last year that are accumulating 1,400 head and take them down to Delta to their own feedlot chose our heifers to keep. The heifers we sold them to keep them for their replacement heifers, and they were wondering if we were going to sell them any replacement heifers with that. We said, yeah, we only keep about 5 replacement heifers a year. We're small, so we still have a market. We are praying that the snow they're predicting does come, because all the land, the public lands and the private lands, and we need moisture badly down here. It's been dry, rough, warm, and no rain precipitation. So we're praying for the snow that's predicted. And that's about all I have right now. A lot going on up here. Excuse. Oh, and it's this time is when all the local ag committees, ag organizations are having their fall meeting. This month is the state ag committees will be having their annual meetings. So that's about all I've got.
Thank you,
Any
Joe.
questions?
Any questions or comments for Joe? Okay, do noted for location, request for location, Joe. So we'll keep that
Okay.
we'll keep that in our hip pocket, okay?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Nick, I see your screen, your thing, your audio's on.
Yes, so I've got a comment and wanted to make sure all of you are aware that Joe is a movie star. I watched a video on Rocky Mountain PBS, American Land, and Joe, that thing was awesome. So many times, and if, I don't think she was representing the commission in the video, just on a personal level, but you did a great job, Joe. And with your permission, I'd like to post a link in the comments so everybody can watch it too.
Oh, well, thank you. And I would, if anybody has some dressing up tips for me and clothing that I should be wearing in the field when I have interviews come, just send them to me privately. Thank you.
I thought you looked great, Joe. And just a little bit for all of you. I mean, so much of this wolf stuff has gotten, everybody's kind of picked their sides, and so much of it has gotten so ugly. Joe is doing some great work on the West Slope, trying to bridge those gaps between those two sides. And that was a really, it was great to see a wolf story that actually had a positive light on it, Joe. So I just wanted to give you a big pat on the back.
Joe, we can't hear you.
I've been helping with get some attendance to the wolf meetings that we're having now, which are kept for ranchers to prepare for wolves on their place if and when they should come, and then prepare in advance. So we will be having much broader attendance. Already we have a lot more attendance going to Craig and to Meeker. I'm working on the meetings in down in Glenwood Springs. So we'll get there.
Good job, Joe.
Great. Thanks, Nick, for pointing that out. And yeah, Joe, George, Nick, thanks for everything that you all are doing and the gaps that you're bridging throughout your regions and areas. Melissa, am I mistaken? Do I see Riley on here anywhere? Riley May?
No, Colleen, I do not see Riley on.
Oh, okay, that's fine. I just didn't want to forget him. All right. We're now at the point where discussion of CDA's priorities amongst the commission members and staff members. Anything that any of the commission members that would like to be that you would like to bring up at this time? I do have one thing that just to kind of put in everybody's hat or in everybody's mind to think about. It's been brought to my attention just a couple times around in my regional area that both farmers and then also a ditch rider brought it to my attention that they need to be spraying their crops, and the ditch rider needs to be spraying the ditch banks for noxious weeds as requested by the state engineers. And given the location of where a lot of these places are at, because of development, they're getting a tremendous amount of pushback from homeowners and HOAs, and they're just kind of not quite sure how to handle it, and to the point where some crop dusters and helicopters are refusing to come to their locations, and they're trying to meet the standards that are being set, but they're really struggling with it. So I told them I appreciated them sharing that with me, and I wanted to bring it to everybody's attention. And I don't know if that's something that we need to have that we should have as a discussion later on in another agenda item, but I did want to share that with you all because it was brought to my attention.
Hey, Colleen, it's Catherine. Do you remember that flyer that Routt County was putting in their tax bills that we saw when we were up there? So Mesa County has expressed interest in doing something like that. And I'm just wondering if maybe we should make that information available to all the counties that has worked well in Routt County to spread information about how agriculture works in the interface with suburban areas.
I like that. I like that idea, Catherine. I think, I don't know, Jordan or I've lost my attorney. Where is she? Oh, Brenna. Yeah, I don't know how we legally address that, or Jordan, maybe you can discuss this a little bit.
Catherine, if you can send me the an example of what Routt County has done, I think that'd be really
I actually don't have it anymore. I used to have a flyer of it and I gave it to my county here because I didn't have an electronic county, but it was the Routt County Clerk and Recorder's Office that had it, or the elections office, really.
I'll get it for you.
Thank you, Jeff.
Thanks, yeah, so Kate and I have a monthly meeting with CCI and a number of commissioners. And I think our next meeting is next Thursday. So this is potentially an idea that I could bring up with them as well, kind of from the county level. Because we definitely are seeing a lot of conflicts around pesticide application, not just in this context, but in other contexts as well. There was an update to the statutes last year, and also we updated our rule this year with the new requirements around notification of sensitive persons. And so we're seeing an uptick in complaints and inquiries around those as well. So we can definitely bring in that program at a later meeting if you want a full briefing from them.
Great. Thanks, Jordan. I see, Nick, you have your hand up.
Sorry, I was scrambling to try and find my notes. We had at one of the Stockman's meetings, we had a gentleman that was a new hire that just came, that just joined the extension office agency that is working particularly on the noxious weed management, and they have piloted an 18-month program, and they're developing it. They have through July, I think, of 2025 to before anything happens, but it's addressing private land ownership and noxious weed control. And so it's more or less an education and then an application piece that they're working on in order for people to understand why controlling the noxious weeds are so important. Because at this point, through the county, they can't go onto private property too, when they're spraying stuff or assess anything without permission. And so we have a bunch of solar fields and a bunch of other things out here too, where he's been reaching out to people. He's super new, he just got hired on 3 weeks ago, but I know that here where I live, the extension office agency is working on something like that to address private land ownership and noxious weeds. Might be somewhere for me to start.
Okay, thanks, Nick. Thanks, Jordan, for bringing up that information. And I guess I would say that if you have any of those kind of documents, to send them to Jordan and we can talk about it and work on this a little bit. But I did promise these people that I would bring it to the attention.
Colleen, we did, our noxious weed program did do a all 64 county outreach information packet on noxious weeds. So that's something also we could see about having that program or the specialists on it, even maybe combined with our pesticide program, putting together further information through their channels. Because the county response to that information packet was pretty good.
Great, thank you. Good. I'm glad I came to the right place. That's great. Any other commission members have any priorities or discussions that you'd like to bring forth? Of anything that you've heard about this morning or in your communities? All right. As you saw, Nick posted for Joe's wolf story, so make sure you get a chance to look at that on the chat. It's time for Bethany and outreach. She's unable to make it today, but my understanding is the only thing she really had to present to us today, and Melissa, correct me if I'm wrong, is an email that she sent to me regarding a few, and I'll just share with you what the email said. A few commission members have mentioned wanting to try a virtual format for the public forum. And since the next long meeting for the end of 2024 is in Broomfield, she thought maybe we'd try something the day before the webinar format, in a webinar format. And she'd like to hear what you all would think. And if we should, and wanted to run it past the entire commission. She said she talked about it in the last in-person meeting, didn't hear any objections, but wanted to make sure everybody was feeling comfortable with it. And a potential agenda would be, she gave me a date, but it doesn't correlate with the meeting date that we have on here. So I'm not gonna mess that. I'm not gonna muddy those waters and throw any dates out. But her thought was to have each ag commission member present, introduce themselves and give a brief talk about your region, opportunities and what you're interested in, etc. Introduce any CDA staff that might be on the call, including any new CDA staff members, and then have Kate highlight current CDA grants and programs that are happening right now, and to point out the website and invite all the attendees to check out more about exploring it, and then also having a Q&A. So her question is how would you feel about doing a webinar possibly the day before the in-person meeting in November as a public format type thing?
So the evening before?
She didn't give me a time.
Because a lot of us have to travel to the meeting for a
Yeah,
long
and
period of
that's
time.
what, and that's one of the things she did say. She said she wanted to be cognizant of the travel time. So
Yeah.
I'll make sure I point that out to her, that the timing needs to be
Yeah.
car happy. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
So can I maybe just give me a thumbs up or what you think? Would you be willing to do that kind of thing? I think maybe like for maybe an hour is what she's looking at. I saw Jeff gave me a thumbs up. Catherine saying yes. Roberto, yes. Simon, yeah. All right, great. Then I will pass that on, and remind me, Melissa, to pass that on to Bethany, that we can make those wheels turn.
I can connect with her directly, Colleen, if that works for you.
That'd be
And
wonderful.
yeah, and I just wanted to put a reminder that the meeting for November has been moved to Tuesday, the 19th, instead of Wednesday because of a conflict. So just a reminder there that it's on a weird day, but I'll be sure to let Bethany know your feedback, make sure that the meeting, virtual public forum is not during travel time. And I'll just connect with her and then she can reach out to you again, Colleen, if she needs more input.
Great. I think that'd be a great way for us to try this type of format and see what kind of attendance we get. So thank you for your willingness to give this new thing a try.
And Melissa, could you just rope Billy in too? He'll be back for that November meeting and just let him know that, I assume you've all spoken about it last meeting, but just let him know that this is coming in the event that any special notices need to be given.
Absolutely, will do. Thank you.
Great. Does Diego have a hand up? Or is that just a hand? Okay, I'm sorry.
No, I don't think so.
Okay,
Sorry, I had
sounds
to double
good.
check.
All right, well, we are a little bit ahead of schedule, but we're at the point now where we can take a 5-minute break. So let's do that and let's all reconvene back at 1:50. So I'll see you all then. Thank you. Okay, we're going to resume with the rest of our meeting. Next on the agenda is annual meeting business. And as you can see from your agenda, there is a 2025 Ag Commission suggested meeting schedule. And I'm going to ask Jordan and Hollis and Melissa and Madison to chime in on any of this that I maybe not be delivering correctly. But we've had a discussion about the 2025 schedule and possibly condensing our meetings down to just what you see in front of me of 6 meetings instead of every meeting, every other virtual. With the caveat that updates from Bethany and Olga and Madison and obviously the commissioner on different things that the commission needs to be involved. But because of travel, staff, stress on the staff, no, I shouldn't say stress, but the staff demands. We kind of looked at seeing if there was a possibility that we could dance the 2025 meeting schedule to kind of accommodate also all of you as growers and producers. So as you can see, there's meetings where they're either a conference or a virtual or in-person in location, with 3 in-person still scheduled and then 3 conference virtual type. Oh, there she did. She shared it. Perfect. Thank you. And so this is a suggested meeting schedule for next year. Would love to have anybody's feedbacks on this or comments. Hollis or any of you want to comment on this as well?
I'll chime in here, Colleen, and just kind of add to this. So part of Kate's thought process in reducing our meeting schedule and having less meetings was that she wanted to make sure that we were respectful of everyone's time, including board members. And she felt like having less in-person meetings would be less demanding on all of your schedules. And then hopefully we can try to prioritize in-person attendance at the meetings, given that there's only 3. She thinks it'll be a little bit easier for us to connect, though we always struggle to find reasonable times of year for all of you to meet together because you're all in different ag industries and they're heavily impacted at different times of the year. So we kind of carefully crafted a schedule where we felt like it would balance having frequent enough touch bases by switching between the in-person and virtual meetings. And then also making sure that we're connecting kind of regularly, but not too often, to where we have in-person meetings back to back, which can be a huge demand on staff time. So those were some of the thought processes, and we also double checked with Madison and our rulemaking schedule to ensure that it would flow seamlessly with that, so that we can really try to structure it to keep the layout we have now, which is the actual rulemaking items that you're voting on taking place at larger meetings, though at the shorter meetings, we may have to do some of the shorter briefings with staff. But we think that that will be a good balance and will leave enough time on the agenda for other items. And that said, go ahead, Catherine. I see your hands up.
Sure. You know, the November in-person meeting is hard because there are so many other meetings going on in November that I'm traveling to Denver for. So adding this one in, it's really hard to make it unless it's back to back with one of my other meetings. So I would like to see that one put virtually or move to a different month for the in-person one. November's just really tough.
Great.
Thanks for that feedback, Catherine.
Yes.
I'm gonna double check our bylaws. I don't think there's necessarily a requirement for that to kind of be our annual meeting. That might just be internally socialized. But let me double check that before we make any changes. But I really appreciate that suggestion. Would there be another month that you think would be a little more doable as far as doing an in-person meeting?
I know December's always hard on everyone, but I don't have an alternative, I guess.
No, I think, Catherine, if December works for everybody and the 2025 Ag Commission meeting schedule fits and all the items that need to be addressed can be done in this time frame. I know I try to make all the meetings I can every month, But I think if all the meetings that are in place and there's a agenda that can be followed and it can all be taken care of within these 3 in person, even if the last one in November is moved to December, I'm in favor, because there's a lot of times that we're gonna be needed for something in between these time frames. But if this is something that's on someone's calendar, I think on my end, the conference call and the in-person location would work if it means that time is of the essence, and it just seems like time flies on anything and everything we do, especially in the ag and cattle industry and in the meetings that is involved. I think it's very important, but maybe this is a way that everybody can focus in on these 6 times of the year. Just my input.
Thank you, Simon. I appreciate that feedback. And absolutely, that's one thing I did want to emphasize. This does not mean that we would not be called to some type of emergency calls if that would need be, like we have had in the past for certain issues. So yes, we kind of need to be cognizant of that, and the staff has done a real good job about getting that out to us and saying we need a quorum because we need to meet on this emergency rule or something like that. So keep in mind that could always be a possibility, but it'll be a possibility no matter what kind of schedule we have. But I agree with what you've said, Simon.
And I just wanted to chime in again. I did take a look at our bylaws, and it is a requirement that our annual meeting take place in November as listed in our bylaws. However, as I sent in the email, we will be reviewing our bylaws at the November meeting. And you guys are welcome to make any suggestions for revision that you would like. So if you would like to make a recommendation that we revise that annual meeting date, we can do that.
Nick?
Colleen, I'm definitely in favor of condensing the number of meetings in a year as a father of 2 and 2 working parents. It's really challenging to try and travel and juggle. Agriculture's crazy as it is. So, and I guess the other big selling point is I'm sure it's a pretty big time suck for the staff to put on one of these meetings. And I guess I'd just soon have the staff working on doing what they do rather than telling us what they do. That's valuable time that they could be doing good work.
That's very true, Nick. Yes, thank you. Thank you for that comment, those comments. So, Melissa, I'm wondering, can we finalize the schedule in November now that we've had some kind of feedback on this? Is this something we need to take care of today, or can we?
It's not something we need to take care of today.
Okay.
I really appreciate the feedback. It sounds like almost everyone is on board, aside from the November meeting, which we could potentially raise at our November meeting when we're revising our bylaws. But at this point in time, there's nothing we need to do. There's no action we need to take. We don't technically formally vote on the agenda, or on the schedule, just in case there are changes later down the road. It makes it cleaner to not formally enact it. But this is enough information on my end for me to kind of go ahead with laying out our schedule for the rest of the year, with that caveat about the November meeting, and we can discuss it more next month when we meet.
Great. Any other comments or anything? I think it's totally like what Nick was saying. Staff needs time to do what they're doing, and you all are busy. So, Jeff, I see you have your mic off too.
Yeah, I just comment that I'm very much in favor of that, and especially not having a in-person meeting in September when I'm in the middle of harvest would be highly beneficial for me to be able to attend, and just having that one be virtual is much better. But yeah, I'm echo all the others and in the benefits, and think it's a really good idea.
Great, thank you. And on the flip side, it's been wonderful to travel the state in the last year or so and see all the different things that are going on in the state. So I think it's been a real plus for all of us. But I think also it's been a stress on the staff and all of you to get there. But I know you all want to be there, but things happen. So I appreciate that. So we'll kind of finalize this in November and kind of put a pin in it. All right, great. Thank you. The other thing is for the annual meeting, like Melissa said, the other two things is taking a look at the bylaws and reviewing those. And the other thing is Kate needs to have 2 people to serve on the officer nomination committee for next year's officers to serve as chair and vice chair. And she was asking, and I said, can we, do you want them to contact you or how do you want to do that? And she would just really like 2 people to volunteer today to serve on that officer nomination committee.
I'll serve on it because I don't want to be an officer.
Okay, Catherine, thank you. We'll pass your name on to Kate.
I will as
That's
well,
good, right?
Colleen.
Okay,
I'll work with
Roberto,
Catherine.
we'll pass that on to you. We'll pass. So Roberto and Catherine will be the 2, Melissa, so you can pass that on to Kate. Thank you. All right. I think that was it for basically the annual meeting business. It will be in Broomfield and hopefully everybody can attend. If not, there will be a virtual option. It'll be Tuesday, the 19th in Broomfield. So final thing today is commission member updates. I'm gonna let David go on because I know he's on his phone if he's on and can do his update. Because I know sometimes coverage in certain locations are hard to achieve. And he might be digging sugar beets. Okay, we'll come back to David. I'm just going to go by what I see on my screen. So Catherine, can you share?
Sure. So let's see. It's been dry over here for the last 6 weeks, I would say. You know, my cows are still in the high country because there was good forage up there and they did get summer moisture and it hasn't snowed yet. I'm scheduled to come down in the next couple of weeks. Cattle sales, the first sort of big calf sale was yesterday and I haven't, not yesterday, Monday, and I haven't checked prices, but I assume that they are still good. All the forecast is for cattle prices to stay high through 2025. So that'll be nice to see. I attended the Routt County Conservation District Soil Health Field Day, and it was great to see John Miller and Reese Melton there. It was very well attended in Routt County. We had about 75 people attend. And we got to do some hands-on things and everybody had a great time. And we had a lunch in the town of, I'm trying to remember what town we were in. Anyways, at one of the little tiny towns there. And let's see. Oh, and this past weekend, I attended the Western Colorado Alliance Farm Tour season wrap-up lunch. And we had some of our local legislators there checking out what was going on sort of with the farming community. It was mostly market garden type farms, but it was nice to see them sort of participating in the agricultural events in Mesa County. So there was actually 3 legislators there, which was, I think, a record for them to come out on a Sunday. Let's see. The Regenerate Conference that Holistic Management, the Grass-Fed Association, and Quivira Coalition is coming up the 6th through the 8th at the National Western Center. The 6th is a bunch of labs and hands-on soil health and organ, byproduct organ dissections and some movies and some other stuff. And then 2 days of conferences. It's the rollout of the American Grass-Fed Poultry Group, so they can now be certified grass-fed when they're pastured poultry. So that group is going to be there for the first time ever. It should be a good conference, so I'm excited. I'm actually have to go up and procure all the organs on the Monday before and haul them all all down to Denver. So I've never cleaned out a room in Omasom and Abomasom before. So I guess I've gotten coached a little bit about turning it inside out and washing it real good or a lot, but we'll see how I do. I'll give you a report next time about the byproducts. The processing plant in Craig that received the MPPE grant, we've now raised all of the money necessary to get the project. We have the final equipment list that we're working on with our USDA liaison. We hope to sign that agreement probably right around Thanksgiving with the USDA, and then move into design and break ground sometime in the late spring. So this plant is moving forward to process 100 head of cattle a day in the northwest part of the state. The support that we've gotten throughout the cattle industry nationwide is just huge. We're building it to be a regenerative processing plant. So all the energy will be produced on site with solar panels. We're using heating water and cooling water to use the plant naturally with the glycol tubes on the roofs and other locations. All of the byproduct will find a home. Nothing will go to the landfill. We're not using a methane digester, so we have no problems with that. And, we have a good workforce sort of plan to keep our workforce happy and healthy. And so hopefully, I'm thinking if you're coming up that area in July, we might just stop by that site as well and see how it's looking and talk to some of the principals. And that's about it around here.
Wow, congratulations. That's really exciting. That's
It is
exciting
very
news for
exciting.
you all, and all the thoughtfulness behind it. It sounds like you've crossed all the T's and dotted all the I's, so
A
congratulations.
lot of people have been working on it,
Yeah,
so we have a great team.
That's wonderful. Great. Any questions for Catherine? All right. I see that David found the screen to talk, is what he says.
Yeah, sorry about that. It was up above instead of down below on my actual picture. Can you hear me now? Let's start off there.
Yes, we can hear you. Thank you.
Okay, good. Yes, harvest in full swing here. I don't think I've ever seen it in my lifetime, but we are actually doing beans, milo, corn, sugar beets, and there's a little bit of Hershey going around. And as dry as it is, kind of like last time, I said we were weaning calves early. We're still weaning calves, things like that to pull off the cows to try to save some of the pastures. The one nice thing since the last meeting we had, we did luckily get about a ½ inch of moisture. So our wheat and things did come up. We just had that surface moisture, so we got the wheat up, but it's time for a rain again here. We've just been extremely warm, which has been excellent for harvest as far as that goes. As a matter of fact, today we got shut off at 1 o'clock on our sugar beets because the core temperature of the beets is starting to get a little warm. So we have to wait until it cools down again to harvest those as well. It sounds like there's a good chance of some moisture coming Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So we're really hoping and praying for that right now. Other than that, it's kind of like Catherine said, this time of year it's crazy. I haven't been able to attend very many meetings with anybody this last 30 days since the last time. So otherwise we're looking forward to fall here with some moisture, and harvest is rolling along pretty well. It's kind of all over the board as far as yields, though. So it'll probably be an average harvest, which that's good. We are disappointed in the prices. They've dropped daily here the last 10 days on the board, and that's affected the cash market as well. We're still seeing some trains of carloads, unit trains of corn coming into Colorado from the east. So it's a major concern when we have, crops around here. So that's another concern that I've addressed before. we were glad to see the interest rates drop as far as the ag community, and hopefully they keep dropping. I know we're not supposed to talk politics, but please look at your ballots really close coming up here, and really pay attention to what the people are saying about agriculture and their priorities of agriculture on who you vote for. And I think there was a couple other things, but at the moment, I think that's it. Thank you, everybody. Good to see you all on, even if it is on Zoom.
Great. Thank you, David. Any questions for David? All right. Elena.
Sorry, it takes me a minute to find that button. Hey everyone. Yeah. Well, we finally are getting cold. It was warm and warm and warm, and we haven't had really a really heavy frost yet until this week. So that's very unusual. Normally we get frosts into early September. So yeah, I was honored to be invited to be on the board of the Acequia Association. So that will be really interesting to kind of see what they're working on. One of the things I always find so sad is our community on Acequia is we just aren't as involved. And so hopefully maybe me being there, and I know that they're really trying to get more people from Conejo County to be involved. Maybe we can start to see ourselves represented a little bit better. Yeah, everyone is really excited. Everyone's really excited about the STAR program. From what I've heard, everyone just really loves it and found the CDA really easy to work with. And so that's exciting because the Acequia Association was also one of the organizations that worked to distribute the STAR program. Honestly, land prices, I don't think they're that great. I haven't checked this week, but the sales today, so we'll see what happened. But it seems like it's been pretty low, so everyone's a little bummed out, but that's just life. Last year it was really high, and this year it's really low, so I guess you just never know. And honestly, that's all I have. It's just been dry. The number one on our river is curtailed, so that means that everyone's off except for one water right, and that water right is not really running full. So hopefully we'll get some moisture, and we only have 2 more weeks with the water until the irrigation season's over. So see if we can. It's always a challenge because we've been curtailed. It's been kind of a trend, where we're curtailed a lot more often, and it's really tough when the irrigation season is still that date, and how are you supposed to suddenly with less water do the same amount of irrigation? So it's been interesting. And what I've seen is it just doesn't seem like that's a conversation that we can really advocate for, because I think they don't want to open up, the irrigation season for debate, because then it creates a lot of, tension, I guess, between surface and groundwater and stuff like that. So anyway, that's all I have. Nothing too exciting, but nice to see you all.
Thank you, Elena. Any questions or comments for Elena? All right, great. Jeff.
Yeah, it's good to see everybody again. I just want to start off by saying apologize for not being able to make the September meeting. It was day 2 of harvest for us, and new equipment and new employees. And anyway, things tend to go south pretty quick during that type of environment. But yeah, potato harvest went exceptional this year. A lot of the farms around the area are reporting record yields, size profile, and quality. So things went very well this year for the potato growers. Downside of that again is oversupply yet again. So we're looking at kind of lower prices as far as the potato crop is concerned this year. The barley crop hit the seasonal rain this year, and a lot of that ended up getting binned for further testing before delivery. So we'll see how some of that tests and comes out of the bin this year. I listened in on the Seed Potato Act hearing this morning that was held by the CDA, and I think there was a lot of very good comments on both sides, concerns and for the Seed Potato Act. So just kind of excited to see where that goes in the next month or so, and in the discussions that'll be had on that front. Something fun that did happen on our farm during harvest is we were able to host the Bettcher Foundation for their annual retreat. It was really fun having a whole bunch of the Bettcher Foundation people come out to the farm. My sister is on that, so that's how we got kind of set up to host that. But lots of very interested people about ag and what we do. So, but yeah, other than that, I just climbed out of my harvest hole and starting to go to meetings again. So it's good to see the light of the world again.
Harvest hole. I love that. Thanks, Jeff. Any questions for Jeff? All right, Roberto.
Thanks, Colleen. Hi, everyone. Good to see you all again. Yeah, I kind of had the inverse experience where there was a lot of meetings and events that I had the opportunity to engage in. Well, just first off, really happy to have some cooler weather. It was definitely getting a little bit weird seeing how close we were to end of September, now mid-October, and temperatures finally started to change. And with that, started to see our first orders of squashes come in and pumpkins. My favorite is butternut squash, and it was amazing to see the crates fill our warehouse. I shared the stage with Colleen at the National Association Farmers Market Nutrition Program conference, and it was about how we leverage nutrition incentives at different retail opportunities, and I got a chance to talk about farmers markets and how important it is to look at local food in addition to food access and what that intersection and nexus is. It was great to hear. I'm sure, Colleen, you'll probably share more, but really great to hear the incredible survey of women farmers and women in agriculture in Colorado. Is amazing. Some of them I recognized, some of them were totally new, and it was just great to see them highlighted. And I also got a chance to host, well, I guess my team here at the Food Hub, Congresswoman Yadira Caraveo, and her advocacy for additional LFPA support, which I got the news through email about 10 minutes before she left that the USDA had approved another $500 million for extending LFPA and an additional $500 million for LFP for schools. So it was amazing to see, the real work having an impact just while she was here. And our team was, it was an event that was co-hosted with Nourish Colorado. So Wendy Peters Moschetti was out here, and it was amazing to just talk to a representative about the work that we do, how important it is to have programs like LFPA in place, how much it impacts Colorado agriculture, local economies, food access, and to just uplift the need for something like this on a permanent basis in our policy. And then also that same day went to have lunch with the kiddos in what the Mapleton School locations for Colorado Proud School Meal Day. And that was really amazing because I never get to see what impact local food actually has when kids are enjoying it. And I caught one of the kids through the corner of my eye fling a rind of cantaloupe like a frisbee across the cafeteria. And it was just amazing to see, that's why we get up in the morning. That's why we do what we do and try and work with school districts and get more local food in there. And it's just amazing to see kids really wanting local food and produce and fresh fruits. It's amazing. And connecting with the the food service nutrition department over there and the chef. And it actually felt like this was a community endeavor across the supply chain. And it was just a wonderful experience. I hope I get to do more of that. Also got a chance to partake in a James Beard Foundation town hall, so to speak. It was a gathering of food service, restaurateurs, and chefs, and some farmers, and city council folks, or representatives from the city, to talk about climate action, and what that looks like at a restaurant, at the table. How procurement can actually have an impact in climate, on climate change, even with the support of these restaurants. And so it's just another opportunity again to kind of connect, have a collective conversation, and not just leave the impact on the level of a transaction, but to build off of the relationships and to actually think beyond buying and selling food to more, how does this impact my community, the soil, our planet, etc. So it's just the level of intention was really great, and we hope to kind of continue that and embody that as we engage more customers and food service chefs. And then last week, got a chance to go to RFSI, the Regenerative Food System Investment Conference, at the Denver Performing Arts, and ran into Brian Cobham. I think Cindy Lair was also there. Susan also, perhaps. I'm not sure. I didn't get a chance to really connect with them, but I do think that it's worth CDA playing some kind of role there beyond just being an attendee. I'd love to showcase what Colorado's doing, and I'd love to see a program or a session around the marketing efforts that we're doing here for Healthy Soils and how that fits into the conversation. It's kind of sad too that there's not a lot of farmer representatives, even though everyone's talking about farming. It's a lot of people from finance and capital, and the big kind of issue that I don't think the conference has been able to adequately hold space for it as a discussion is just the fact that that there's so much money that people want to invest in regenerative agriculture and the just transition, but they're still trying to make a buck off the farmer. And it's like we're farmers are barely making ends meet, and breaking even is like top goal. So I want perhaps the CDA to really advocate for us as a partner, as someone that's doing this work and seeing the impacts and the model that we're building across the state, to just bring a little bit of institutional legitimacy to that conversation, and to kind of even out the playing field, I think. But other than that, it's great. It's a good networking event. I met some folks last year that were there this year, so it's good relationship building. But I do hope that CDA and also the regional food business centers can support more farmer participation, because we need more voices from the ag sector there. So yeah, excited to see what comes out of that next year. But that's about it for me. Thank you. Any questions?
Roberto, thank you. Cherry tomatoes are one of my favorite, but it was not my favorite day when I was doing cafeteria supervision, because they have a tendency to have a really good flight across the cafeteria. But thank you. Thanks for going. Simon.
Okay, hello everyone. Just a few things happening here in Southwest Colorado. I want to start off with, though, as a Colorado Agricultural Commission member, to welcome on board to the CDA staff Andrea Weisenmeyer and Amira Mora. So it's nice to be able to fill those positions. Moving on, there's been some talk of being dry. We have our weekly ag meetings, and last week we were kind of joking because we finished up our 5th cutting, which is unusual for us on our 2,400 acres of hay. And there's a few more fields now that we would like to go back in and fire up the swathers and cut them and go for 6 cuttings because the weather's been uniquely warm. But like everybody said, this last few days, it's been changing. So on the ag end, we did finish up our 5th cutting, and customer base has been good. We are shipping on an average of 6 to 8 semi-loads a day to a company to the south that we found they are a big supplier of Sam's Club for their white and chocolate milk. So they've been taking a lot of the hay in our area. That's a good thing because, you know, we're dependent on our scales and semis to come and go to take our product to market. So that's been a good thing on the hay end so far. On the wheat end, we're about 700 acres into our red winter wheat planting. We've got about 300 acres left, and we should be done here in the next couple of weeks with the wheat planting. The corn harvest, they're out test cutting today. So if everything goes good, we'll start cutting our yellow corn and hopefully get it cut and then move into our white and into the blue corn. So that part hopefully will be done by the first of the year. It's always hard to say how fast it'll dry down. The cattle end, they're moving back in. The last couple of weeks, we've had a few semi-loads back on the project, feeding on what we planted fall triticale. And we've got some other items that we're working with Colorado Ag Water Alliance on some sandfoin. That looks really well. So I think we're gonna have some other crop that the cattle can feed on, and hopefully it uses less water, less bloating. So that's a product we're interested in for the cattle operation. So the sandfoin is looking good for 2025 feed. And on the cattle end, we sold the majority of our cattle on the Superior Livestock, which is good. I think the same customer has purchased from us the last 3 years, which has been really good for us. And the pricing was up. It kind of fell after what we had sold our 3 loads. So on that end, on the cattle end, the prices were favorable on our end this year. So that's good. At Bow and Arrow, they're continuing their production on new customers and existing customers. So that's going well up at the mill. They're still sending product out on a daily basis. So they seem to stay busy. And this will be the first year in probably pre-drought 21 that they're going to have white corn and a lot more blue corn that we grew in-house for them to be able to run through the mill. So it's been about 4 years that we've been able to provide somewhat of a product to them that we didn't have to purchase outside of Farm and Ranch. We did have a couple visitors here in the past looking at a reservoir site that we're looking at putting in on the end of Reach 3 Canal, and everybody's aware. And if not, maybe there's an invitation set out that maybe there can be a commission meeting down in our part of the country sometime in the future. But the canal runs 39.9 miles and it just ends. And it puts a lot of pressure on our irrigators to monitor or come out and start pivots up in the middle of the night or turn pivots on or off. So this regular red arrow regulating reservoir that we're looking at putting in on the end of the canal, hopefully it'll be anywhere from 1,000 to 1,500 acre feet, which is about what we got in 2021 of our water allocation. So there's been some interest. Senator Hickenlooper was out touring the mill and looking at the micro hydro units and also the area that we'd like to put this regulating reservoir in. And here, not last week, but the week before, Senator Bennett came out with the BOR Commissioner Camille and paid a visit and looked at the mill and the farm project in itself and this site that we would like to put this reservoir in to offset a lot of the activity that takes place that maybe shouldn't. So I can report that we did get some funding through the Bureau of Reclamation to do some engineering and design work on this regulatory reservoir that'll help us. You know, if it was in place a few years ago, that would have been about the total amount of water that we got for the whole project. So adding that in, it'll help on areas of drought concern that we're having every year. Right now, going into this year, there will be little to no carryover. So that will help in those needs. So hopefully in the next few years, we'll be able to get some design done and some engineering done to be able to look forward on putting this reservoir at the end of the canal. And she was also visiting, I'm part of the Water Resource Committee for the Ute Mountain Ute Tribe on some issues that are pertaining to the ALP project outside of Durango and some water that the tribe has that goes down the San Juan River into Lake Powell. So there was a few things that she was able to take part in while she was down in our area. As far as other activities, we've got 5 micros that are commissioned. We're still looking at pending to do the next 5. We did get an extension through the NRCS to be able to finish construction in April of 2026. So that helps us moving forward because there was no way we could have met the deadline of the spring of 2025. We are involved in the STAR program, and we've got 10 fields that we're working through that process, and we added 2 more fields through the program. And what helps us is we purchase chicken compost. So that helps us with these fields being eligible under this program, because we do put chicken compost on existing and new fields that we've planted. So moving into next week, our alfalfa's done. We'll start our corn harvest, and hopefully in the next couple of weeks be done with wheat harvest and welcome all the cattle back home. And that's always interesting to keep them off the fields they shouldn't be on and have enough feed for them to be able to feed on through the winter. And I think that's about it.
George, I see your hands up.
Yeah, I had a quick question for Simon about the permitting process for the reservoir. Because that's a change of water, right? From irrigation to storage. Did you have to go through any kind of because it's on tribal lands, is it different than what it would be anywhere else? I was just curious about that.
No, it would be under the same criteria. We can do it on cattle runs or any, we just won't be able to run water into it at any time we want. It's going to have to be monitored closely. And it's basically that the first 20 plus miles of canal, there's no outlet for them. So if they decide they need to turn off the systems at any time, then that extra water comes our direction, and we've got to utilize it to the best of our ability, because it goes through a meter system that we are charged for it. So I think on our end, it's watched closely because in that sense, anybody else will just go out and put a reservoir in, George, and then we wouldn't. But yeah, it's going to be monitored only to be able to utilize if there's a stock run. We've never been able to take advantage of a stock run by not having a reservoir or say a pond. This is the wording has to be a regulating reservoir to only regulate the water usage from our canal. And it can only be utilized if there's a power outage. And say we ordered 110 CFS and the water that they didn't utilize upstream wasn't that metered water of 110, and say 113 came down, that would allow that excess water that we didn't order to go into this holding reservoir. So that's going to have to be taken into consideration, because right now, if there is an issue, we extended the height of the end of our reservoir. We added an extension so it'll hold more water. But once it surpasses that, the water just goes down a dirt ravine and supposedly end up at the San Juan River. But in this case now, there won't be any wasted water, and it would really allow the irrigators. It's amazing that you won't overflow the canal between 8 and 4:30. It always happens to be at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning that they've got to come out and start pivots up so we don't waste water. And a lot of times it's on fields we don't even need the water on. But the biggest thing is, I think if there's ever a drought and we're able to monitor that better, that would help us in the next year as far as being able to apply that water to the irrigated land. So yeah, we're having to follow the same criteria as anybody else has to.
Thank you. Yeah.
You bet, George.
Seems like a no-brainer, but
I hope so. The funding is available to design and engineer, and of course on water time, that's probably a couple years, at least.
Thank you.
You bet. Any questions? All right, thank you. It's good seeing everybody.
Thank you, Simon. Thanks. Nick.
I'm here, but I'm gonna leave my video off. My internet's trying to freeze up on me, and that seems to help a little bit. So, let's see, we're in the trenches around here working on trying to get through all of our fall cow work. In the month of October, we'll run close to 1,500 animals through the chute and ship calves and vaccinate, and it's a pretty crazy time around here right now. So just trying to work through that. We've preg tested a few groups and had pretty good breed ups. Despite being so dry around here, we're pretty nervous about what that preg test will be like as dry as we were this summer. So just trying to work through that. Dryland corn around here, most of the combines have run through it. I don't even know why they did, because it looked pretty awful. Most of the wheat, or what I think is planted to wheat, isn't up. There just hasn't been any moisture to speak of. We are currently in D2 drought, and I think we've been in D2 since early August. So I imagine we're probably gonna, if this storm this weekend doesn't materialize, I would imagine we'll probably flop over to D3 here pretty quick. So that's worrisome. Fortunately, we had a really good spring here, so we grew some grass. So things could be a lot worse. We've got a little bit of dormant, or a little bit of stockpile to deal with to kind of manage this dry period. Let's see. I think commodity cattle prices are still really good, so that we're fortunate there. We haven't seen the major hit like the rest of the commodities have taken, so hopefully that holds out. And let's see, I think that's about it. Just wanted to encourage all of you to watch Joe's moment in the spotlight. Copy that link. It's really cool to see what she's doing over there and being a positive effort in what's a pretty nasty topic in the state of Colorado. So I definitely encourage you all to watch that, and I guess looking forward to seeing you guys in November.
Great. Thanks, Nick. Any questions for Nick? All right. I'll wrap up then. Like Roberto said, we did share the stage at the National Association of Farmers Market Nutrition Program Conference. My presentation was on Colorado women in agriculture, and I did feature 4 people that you would know. I had about 12 ladies that I featured across the state, but Joe Stanko, Catherine Bedell, Kate Greenberg and David's daughter, Megan Block. And I appreciated them sharing their words and their photos with me so I could showcase them. So much easier to talk about other people than it is to talk about yourself. And what I found the common thread was they didn't want to tell me just about themselves. They wanted to tell me about their families and everything that goes on. So it definitely shows you what farm families are all about. So that was fun. And I did have a contact from a gentleman that works for the USDA in Georgia, and he wanted to know more about female migrant workers and felt that I might be an avenue. And I did connect him with Aldo Hara. So I hopefully we'll get some connections there and some conversation going on there for them. So I thought that was a really good takeaway from that. Let's see, the corn is out, the silage corn around here is out. Beets are being harvested. I was past the beet receiving station this morning and it was going and lots of trucks were in line. But it could be like David was saying, they might have had to be shut down because of the temperature. I don't know. I would have to go by again and see, but I can tell they're definitely coming out and everybody's very pleased with that. And then wheat is going in. We would like to get the rains that everybody's talking about. Real happy to hear that Eastern Colorado did get some moisture a while back, because I know my family has told me that it's green. So that's a good sign for us out there. Peppler Farms hosted a couple events for Weld County Farmers Union. We had an ice cream social a few weeks ago. And then Monday night, we hosted the Weld County Farmers Union convention. And we were honored to have Robert Sakata as our speaker for the night. So it was great that he came over and had dinner with us and shared his knowledge and visited with some of the farmers around this area. So that was a nice thing to have. Other than that, that's about it for me today. One thing I would like to say, I always love listening to the commission members' reports because the diversity of where you're going and what you're doing and all the lives that you're touching is just phenomenal. And it's just really putting agriculture in the state of Colorado out in the forefront. So thank you for all the visits and meetings that you attend and everything. It's much appreciated. Again, Melissa, thank you for what you've done. You stepped in again. Anything for the good of the order before we adjourn? All right, just a reminder, the next meeting is Tuesday, November 19th in Broomfield, starting at 9 o'clock in the morning. You'll be probably getting information about that. And with that, I would entertain a motion to adjourn today's meeting.
This is Catherine. I move that we adjourn today's Agricultural Commission meeting.
Thank you, Catherine. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Simon. It's been moved and seconded to adjourn today's meeting. Is there any discussion? Then we'll proceed to vote. All those in favor of adjourning, please say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion pass. Meeting is adjourned. Everybody have a great rest of your afternoon and happy Halloween.
Thank you.
Thanks.
See you all.
Bye-bye
Thanks,
now.
everyone. Bye.